Uh, all right. Wow. They started at the same time. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. I have both Facebook and YouTube here with me today. I'm going to talk about this very controversial topic of why spirituality is not a lifestyle per se, but more of a phase that people go through, a threshold that people pass by within and then out, becoming something different. And so today I wanted to elaborate a little bit about why spirituality and religion, for that matter, are very easily seen as like conduits for ignorance. Then, no matter how open-minded people think they are, and talk more about the actual applications, the practical application that religion and spirituality has in our everyday life. So if you've been following me on this channel, then you would know that I did a video on astral projection. I've done quite a few videos on spirituality. I started my journey when I was 19, 20. I got really heavy into just meditating like every day, and having like the ideal kind of balanced lifestyle that you can hope to have. I guess I was working out all the time. I was meditating a couple hours a day. I felt better and everything, physically, mentally, all that stuff does really good things for you. And I think it's important too to have the people around you who have similar ideals when it comes to personal development, and moving forward in your life, growing, becoming a more balanced person. But there's just a lot of people out there. I'll give you an example. Like, spirituality is a really big topic on YouTube. It's a big topic in general, spirituality. And it's like the stereotypical thing is to ask, what does spirituality even mean? Right. And, you can always ask the same thing for religion. Like, what does religion really mean? Like, what does it really do for you day to day? Are you just going to church every Sunday and, being religious only once out of the week? Or maybe you're being spiritual 2 hours of the week, who knows? And so my thing is, what is really both of those things past my phase of spirituality and past my phase of religion? And so something I definitely want to bring up on this topic is everybody needs like their own personal beliefs and their own ideals, their own values, their own version of integrity. And I think at the end of the day, you need your own value system. And it's very easy to say, oh, Christianity is my religion and I believe in these like laws, or based whatever the Bible is telling me to do. I think there's a lot of people out there who have the capacity to create their own value systems, to gather their own information, and not necessarily rely on value systems that have been man-made for or have been created for them. A lot of people are in that stage of their life where they're looking for the ultimate set of values, personal beliefs, to align with, because they cannot create an alignment on their own. They need to base it off of something, versus other people who gather information and experiences, and they base and can connect with these same values, but in a way that actually has made sense to them. And I think when it comes to spirituality, this is the case. I believe that people search for things. People are in all different kinds of places when they're seeking religious or spiritual affiliation. For me, when I was looking for an affiliation, whether it be religion or spirituality, atheism, or whatever it was, I was doing research. I was looking at like I was researching what to believe in, because at that time I'm like, what, it's not good enough that I don't know where I came from or what all this is. I want to know. And I think people seek out their value systems, these value systems, for several different reasons, for a plethora of different reasons. There's no specific set reason. Somebody's sister may pursue it because they're lost. Another may seek it because they've suffered a lot from like a death of a loved one, or somebody just may need more motivation to get out of depression. There's a billion reasons why people adapt value systems or beliefs, or exterior beliefs, because they don't know how to figure out their own beliefs, or they need help. And I believe that that's totally fine. People are going to have challenges, whether it's their beliefs or common sense or being in their environment or being too introverted or being too logical. Everybody's going to have setbacks or weaknesses. And in psychology, it makes sense that not everybody, a good portion of the population of the world, are not good at creating their own beliefs and subsystems of how to navigate their life. They need something in place because they don't know how to create that. And that's totally fine. But I think this is where spirituality comes in, and where spiritual awakening comes in. I see a spirituality. I see it as a phase, because there's either like a point in time where somebody is saying, I want to know a subset of things, or I need to know X, Y, and Z, or I need a change in my life. I need balance. I need stability. I need security. And this is where it comes from. And then the next thing is, like, once they are on this spiritual path, then they say to themselves, I want to be, more, I want to have an awakening. I want to have a spiritual awakening. And there's so many people who are pursuing something that they believe to be singular, and it's not singular at all. It's multi-singular. It's dynamic. And this is why I'm saying spirituality is not necessarily a phase, as more as a conduit for self-change long term. And it's more of like a lifestyle, in the sense where it's a lot like it is a religion, with that sense of personal growth, personal development. There are set, systems that spirituality may or may not offer you. There's a lot of different ways that people can ingest spirituality, much like religion. For religion, there's God, and for spirituality, there may be the universe or source energy, or a lot of different ways to coin the same thing, the originator, right? And it's less of the micro ideologies, and more about what spirituality and religion holds as as a whole, right? Like, what does religion and spirituality actually give back to people? And the reason why there's such a following with both, I would say less much for my example, because I was kind of trying to answer something. I kind of already understand where I am with spirituality. I believe that, spirituality in terms of personal development is like probably the best thing in the way that I see it. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious with my spirituality. I'm all about, everybody kind of coming from the same thing to some, point. It's pretty binary. It's like we all probably come from one thing at the end of the road. But is that more relevant as less than what's going on in the present moment? But what I'm trying to say is, spirituality and religion are conduits for self-change long term, than like a quick fix, or like a way of living, because everybody has their own way of living. Why should spirituality or religion impede on your creative existence, right? And I think, it's cool because, there's a lot of people who, they go to Burning Man, or they go to Coachella, or, all these different events, small and big, and they meet people who are also in spirituality. It's a very big it's a very big concept, much like religion, in the sense that it's like almost like an activity or an interest or an event. Somebody says, oh yeah, I consider myself to be spiritual. And when people say that, they're spiritual, or they had a spiritual awakening, it's like saying, yeah, I was born again, kind of, with the spiritual awakening thing. Like I love hearing from people that they say that they enjoy spirituality much like a system that they are creating and unraveling over time, and that they're figuring it out. Whereas my challenge with religion is the system's already in place for you, coincidentally. And there's just this great book and all these different teachings, and you can take them literal or not, and they're provided for you. Whereas, if you have the capacity to think for yourself and create those own systems yourself, then there would be less of a necessity for religion and spirituality. Even spirituality, I mean, could I say that spirituality is more of a conduit for personal development than Christianity or any religion out there? No, I cannot, because everybody has their own conduit that they gravitate towards. For me, it was spirituality. I enjoyed spirituality very much so. And I liked spirituality because it was very broad. You can go into a million directions with it. It was more personable. There was less convention and staticness behind it. There's no church of spirituality. There's just like other people, and the world is your church, or the universe is your church. And I've always been more into personal development, even before I dived in to my studies, like when I was 19, 20. Even before that, I was more into personal development. I was just into learning. I was into growing, kind of like who I was, and am still. And spirituality kind of fit that puzzle piece. It was like that piece that kind of made sense. But what does it look like? My spirituality, what does it look like on a day-to-day? Not much more than the next person who, may meditate, do personal development, and kind of like abide by my own rules and laws and things that I think are the best way to represent myself in a population and amongst myself for the best quality of life that I think that I can provide for myself. And I think that when I cross compare spirituality to like religion, for example, people do have phases in religion just as much as they do spirituality. People go to church. Some people are spiritual and they get into groups and they go to events for spirituality stuff. It's all uniform. It all has its own representation, and I think it's very important to understand that these things, dogma or spirituality in general, there's nothing new age about not being conventional. There's nothing new age about it. There's nothing new about consciousness that hasn't been around before. It just hasn't been on the internet before because there wasn't any internet. And that's what I'm really loving about. A lot of people are saying, oh, spirituality and this new age thing, it's all new. I'm like, no, bro. I mean, if you really think about it, things get recycled over time, and it's just becoming more easy to recycle content, information like spirituality and spiritual awakenings and the new age and aliens, because there's the internet now. There's actually a place where you can start creating trends, and that's called the internet. And so I personally believe that spirituality has been around for a very long time, and so has religion, but it's just becoming more and more apparent. These trends that have already existed are becoming more and more apparent because now there is the internet to allow these kinds of platforms to be known, right? And the future ones as well, like not too long ago, like, I mean, you can probably argue that having a different sexual preference was taboo, or dating was taboo, like, and talking about it. But then now it became super mainstream when the internet came around, and expressing feelings, maybe the internet could have posed like a better platform for a lot of different societal taboo natured elements. I think that a lot of spirituality and its growing popularity has to do with the rapidness that it can be shared. And I think that we discredit the real ability that religion, dogmas, spirituality has a role to play in our lives. I think that we're not really fully understanding that, spirituality, it's good being a phase more than it is a lifestyle, because at least as a phase, there is a point in which consciously that there is going to be change. It's going to be change, consistent and always gradual compound change with yourself. That you're trying to move forward, right? When you open that door, it doesn't close. You're just always going to get better and better because you have a responsibility to yourself. That's kind of like personal dev 101. You have a responsibility to yourself, and to hold yourself accountable for how you are, how you come off, doing the best for you. And I think less of that. I wouldn't say less of that. I mean, I would love to like Q&A like religious people and say, and see if this is it's less or more apparent in spirituality than it is religion, or the other way around. It would be cool to know that. But in my experience, I've met just too many religious people who have principles over self-perpetuating curiosity and belief expanding, then then people who are religious who kind of fundamentally know that there is personal growth, personal dev. I think when people get, I think the one fallback that religion has as a foundation. By the way, I believe that you can believe whatever you want. I believe it's a good thing to both believe in religion or spirituality or whatever, as long as it's something you're growing from. But what I believe personally, though, I think spirituality, it's kind of held back because it's been so mainstream that people aren't taking it as intimate as it's supposed to. And I think that people that are following any kind of religion have fallbacks because they're becoming comfortable with the information and data that is presented, and so they're not really thinking beyond that. Perhaps I would love to know what kind of innovative ideas are happening in religion. But as far as I know, the majority of people that I know are religious take the principles and just roll with it, versus people who are spiritual who understand those same principles, but they're trying to expand more of like the regular everyday applications. And and I don't think the argument of going into church works here, because I used to go to church for a while, and what I noticed is that people would have their innovation when the pastor would open up his book at the podium and talk about some verses in a different way that nobody's heard before. And then, everybody would wow and ooh and go, oh, okay, that's different. And then leave church, with energy for the week to come. But then it's just like that was their personal growth for the week, versus somebody opens a book every day and expands their knowledge and their understanding. And not saying that people who are religious don't read, but I'm just curious and interested to know more of the view on people who are religious, and if they kind of see religious teachings as more of like a comforted system that's given to them to operate within versus to expand out of, because I believe that systems are meant to be outgrown, and I don't believe that anything is static. And that's the thing that I don't like about conventional belief systems like religion, is that they do appear static and they're less innovative than something like spirituality, which really doesn't have a particular direction it goes towards. So it would be food for thought for that. But I definitely do want to wrap this up, guys, though. Hopefully I opened up some thoughts about spirituality as a phase, and that I would encourage that. I would encourage like a lifestyle principle for spirituality to be personal development oriented. I'm going to yoga, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do all these things that society now is trending spirituality to be, but create your own spirituality, create your own direction for how you want to operate your life. You are your operator, nobody else is. And I would just kind of explore that. But that's just me. This is just one thought out of many. So hope you guys liked this video. I will talk to you guys next time. If you have any questions about this video, let me know down below, or send me a message privately, whatever you want to do. If you want to see me talk about a video in particular, let me know, and I will definitely get to it, making tons more to come. And I will see you next time. Cheers.